We got a wonderful sky. We're going to talk about the thirst for knowledge. A lot of people, especially if they're intellectual, very smart, you could say. And there's like intellectuals, Jordan Peterson, David Hawkins, and so forth. Maybe Benjamin Franklin, Albert Einstein, and really anybody. The thing is, when you look at something and have an experience, you can translate it through a decisive language that we made, whatever culture that you grew up in. And when you observe, we can translate it and explain it to somebody, but realistically, you have to experience it yourself. And this is the problem. A lot of people don't have experience. They're merely talking through their mind or their intellect. Enlightenment, and what I'm talking about, what I was just talking about, observing, feeling, and seeing. They also, you can call this non-duality, but it's when your mind shuts off. You can shut your mind off at will. A lot of people don't even know this. When we transverse something in a language, it doesn't necessarily you don't really get the real experience. I can tell you about blue and describe details about it, but until you see blue and maybe it evokes something in you, and this goes with anything in life. People can tell you what a professional soccer player feels like. A professional soccer player could even tell you what it's like in his day. But you'll never know. How could you know? You would have to experience it first on. First on. Most people in the world are just intellectually enlightened. If you're intellectually enlightened, and there's only a few of those, more people claiming to be, you still can't transmit pure enlightenment. Because you have to be still. You have to have no thought. If you think about it, or you can see, when you're playing a role-playing game, such as Skyrim, you're playing this character in 3D mode, third person, first person. You're controlling this character, but it's not having thoughts. Your character's just going around collecting gold, pickpocketing people, fighting dragons, and healing itself. You may be controlling it, but your character in the game is not thinking. That's exactly what the real world actually is. Heaven too. It goes with you to the afterlife. And to any life after that. But you should live your life exactly in that manner. And you see what I mean. Without the thinking. So, our world has taught you to be intellectual. But that's far from the truth. If only you could be still and have no thoughts. Thoughts are corrosion. They cover the soul. If you could feel it, it's literally the best thing in the world. That's why it's sought after. Nothing feels better than it. Because you aren't thinking. In a way, you're controlling your thinking. You don't have invasive thoughts. Your mind isn't racing. Therefore, you don't think about how you feel. And it is not an emotional state. This is not an emotional state. A lot of people think, oh, You know what I mean? They sometimes think negative, think depressed, think fear, even happiness and joy. This is a state beyond all emotions. It is just like the Skyrim game or any role-playing game. The character you're controlling is just existing in the world. And you won't know till you would actually experience it. It is the best feeling in the world. It's almost like a movie or some unrealistic future. The Garden of Eden. It's just like this ridiculous realm. Because when you go and you cancel out your thoughts, it's a whole new experience. It's like there's two lives to live. One would be in your head, which is corrupted. And the other one, because that's always going to bring problems, the real one is when you start merging with God or reality. And you're not thinking. Your mind is still. And it's like you become the game. You become the character in Skyrim. And everything becomes curious. You are filled with bewilderment. And you're extremely happy. It doesn't even do it logic when I explain it. Because in this state, you're not thinking. And it's the best feeling in the world. So, thinking and learning more and more it's going to be a trap. Especially for someone that's seeking God or enlightenment. Because learning more and more and more intellectually, you would think it's beneficial. That's only because you think that. There's really not too many things to learn. You could call it a hands-on experience. But it becomes a trap. There's much more to life. Much, much, much more. And learning and acquiring knowledge is not necessarily bringing you closer to enlightenment. It's more so a loop. And it's never ending. Enlightenment would be the end of knowledge. It sounds confusing in a way, but to keep learning and learning is not the answer. This is more so for intellectuals. Because they think by acquiring more knowledge, somehow they will reach a peak, a final state, where you don't require any more knowledge. But you'll never be satisfied with that, because it doesn't end. Knowledge is infinite. But when you reach enlightenment, no more thinking. Then it does end. And you're always satisfied. You'll be curious about things, but you won't keep searching for answers. It sounds almost the same, but is very different.